And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer.
Howdy folks, Darren back with you here at Cross Timbers Farm. Welcome to 8th Day Chronicles. Glad to have you here on the farm with us today on this windy August day. July was a really dry month for us here in western North Carolina, and we saw results of that lack of rain with when we cut and baled our test plot back 2 weeks ago. Our yield was down quite a bit. And there's a couple of contributing factors to that, but one of them, the major contributing factor, was we went through July with real hot temperatures and very little rain. However, August has strolled in, and last weekend we got 4 inches of rain, and yesterday we got an inch. We had some pretty wicked storms blow through yesterday. It was about 3 o'clock in the middle of the afternoon. It was as dark as at 9 o'clock. I mean, you had to turn the lights on in the house. It was so dark. Pretty mean storms blew through. But it did give us an inch of rain, which we're thankful for. We're in the test plot today for our August hay update and farm update. If you're new to the channel, glad to have you with us. We welcome you to be part of the family. I've been out in the test plot with my grazing stick, and if you don't have one of these little grazing sticks, they're fantastic. I really like mine. Consider picking you one up somewhere. They're pretty cheap. We cut our test plot 2 weeks ago, and the $200 we spent buying a cut height lift kit for our 135 drum mower was worth every penny. Last year we cut all of our hay at the factory setting, which according to the manual is 1 5/8 inches. We installed the lift kit over the winter to raise our cut height up to almost 4 inches. It's like 3 7/8. That's what we've been cutting it at this year, and the regrowth on our hay has been phenomenal. So much better than that factory cut height. The regrowth has been more vigorous, quicker, faster regrowth. When you cut your hay up a little higher, it does not cut down into the tender part nearing those roots, and especially on your legumes, cutting into the crowns. And even your orchard grass is considered a bunch grass. And when you cut way down low into the real tender part of that grass down near the sod, it can really traumatize that grass for a little while. Cutting it just a little bit higher, we have found that our regrowth there's no comparison. So if you're mowing with a drum mower, and one of the complaints I hear about them is they cut low, consider adding a lift kit to your cut height. You'll avoid some rocks that way. If you got rocky fields and humps, you'll avoid digging into the ground a little bit more with your blades. But that's not the main reason. The main reason is your regrowth on your hay field will be so much better that there's really no comparison. We've been out here in our test plot, and we cut 2 weeks ago at 3 7/8 of an inch. And I've been doing some, just randomly walking around and getting some measurements with our grazing stick. And our regrowth in our legumes and our cool season grasses of orchard, timothy, and tall fescue, they're averaging both about 10 inches, the grasses and the legumes. So you can do the math. In 2 weeks, We went from a stubble height of 3 7/8 to we're now standing about 10 inches. Regrowth is phenomenal with cutting that hay a little bit higher. Our test plot's looking really good. This winter, I think we're going to expand our test plot a little bit. We have an area, if you can see my stick pointing, right down here you'll see a power pole. Right below the power pole, we have an area down there that we've been working on since probably about last winter, with getting the weeds out of it and weed control and prepping that ground for some frost seeding this winter. I think we're going to expand our test plot maybe about 2 more tenths of an acre to get us close to half an acre. I think with we'll have about 2 and 2.7 tenths of an acre more to put us up to about a half an acre for this test plot. And I really wish that all of our hay fields looked as good as this test plot. Our other main hay field is looking really good. We've been working on reclaiming a hay field on the far portion of our farm, and it's a work in progress. One day I hope that reclaimed hay field looks like this too. This is phenomenal. One thing we're going to do this winter in our test plot and in our main hay fields, we're going to add a little more Timothy grass to our grass mixtures. I think a diversity in your hay field is important, and the majority of our customers are horse owners that buys our hay, and I do know from conversations with those folks, a lot of those people really like Timothy. They really like the orchard as well, and the fescue, but the Timothy's real soft and it's very palatable to horses. It's very high nutrient value, and so is good orchard grass. But Timothy's a little softer. I'm not going to say it's higher in nutrients than orchard, but it is a little more palatable, if there is such a thing. I don't know, orchard grass is pretty palatable, but a lot of folks, it seems, like some Timothy, and we've not really had anybody just specifically request us to start growing some Timothy. But the Timothy grass name has been mentioned several times, so I think we're going to put a little more in our frost seed mixture this year. We already have some Timothy. It's just very spotty. You can walk around, there's Timothy here and there, and there's enough of it here to make that mixture. But there's a lot more orchard grass. And from a grower standpoint, I'm not a Timothy fan. Here on our farm, orchard is king. Timothy is finicky. Timothy does not withstand the summer heat very well. It does not withstand harsh winter real well. It does not withstand multiple cuttings very well. When I say very well, now I'm comparing that to our orchard grass. Orchard comes out on top in all those categories over Timothy, in my opinion. So I'm not a big Timothy fan, but I have nothing. Timothy is really good, high quality grass for hay. It's just finicky to grow. That's my reasoning for not being really fond of Timothy. One thing I've noticed this summer, and I don't know if the rest of y'all have, in your areas, we had a real dry July, and because of that, boy, I don't know if that's the main reason, but we have had more yellow jackets, wasps. And yellow jackets build in the ground. They dig a hole and build a colony, a nest in the ground. We've had more yellow jacket nests we've found in our pastures this year than I think we ever have. Not sure the reason why there's so many more of them, but man, they're just everywhere. And I hear people all the time say, boy, I found a bee's nest in my pasture, or, you know, or in my barn. And I'm like, what were they? And they'd say, you know, white-faced hornets or yellow jackets. And I'd say those are not bees, those are wasps. If I had some bees here on our farm somewhere and I knew where their hive was, I'd leave them alone. I really like honeybees. But man, you stir up a wasp nest and those jokers can get aggressive. I mean aggressive fast. And they can be almost dangerous. So we've had to get rid of several that was in areas of traffic on our farm this summer. But anyway, the test plot's looking really good. I would say that we might get 3 cuttings this year off of our test plot. That'll be a first for this farm. We've never gotten more than 2 cuttings. I think we may end up getting 3 this year. It's well on its way. So let's take a quick look in our main hay fields, the growth stage there. We're here in our main hay field. This is our fields where the majority of our hay comes from. And it's looking really good. We have some grasses here, our cool season grasses, that you'll notice a few seed heads here, there, and yonder. And you might think, well, this hay's ready to cut. No, you got to look at the majority of your hay. You'll have seed heads here, there, and yonder, just because of the difference in the soil might be a little different in one spot. This spot might have got more fertilizer, whatever the case may be. You got to look at your grasses as a whole to determine when they're ready to be cut. When the majority of your cool season grasses is in the boot stage and that seed head is within an inch or so of emerging, that's when you want to cut. Our orchard grass and Timothy right in here and tall fescue is, I mean, looking great. I'll show you an example. Tall fescue already seeded out. That one's a little unusual. Here is some orchard grass, as you can see. Looks really nice. It's seeded out. And let me bend over and let me pull another one. Oops. Well, I didn't mean to, but I just pulled some Timothy up by the roots. And some Timothy, it's real windy out here. I guess you can see the wind blowing. And some Timothy growing. And boy, I tell you what, you take this and a little bit of this tall fescue here and throw in a nice big red clover legume in the mix, and you're talking about a fantastic mixture in a hay bale. High quality, that's what we're after. This is good stuff. Boy, the wind is terrible. I hope it don't blow my camera over there. Everything's looking good in our main hay field. I'm just gonna step right down here, take my grazing stick. Right here is some tall fescue. Let's just take a measurement. This tall fescue is, goodness, probably, the seed head is probably up to about 30 inches. Here's some nice orchard. It doesn't have a stem, just the leafy matter. It's up to about 21. Looking really good. If we continue to get rain and some nice sunny days and some good rain, we're looking forward to a really nice second cut off this hay field here. Basically, every bit of our second cut is already pre-sold. We got a couple of horse customers that have already laid claim to all of our second cut. So, but anyway, it'll probably be, looking at our grasses, Looking at the growth stage they're in, now this is all dependent that we continue periodically to get some rainfall. I would say we'll be cutting here in 4 weeks, maybe 3.5 to 4 weeks. We're still close to a month away from cutting this, so but I think when we do cut it, we're gonna have a fantastic finished product here and a pretty high yield too. I believe our yield's gonna go up from first cut. It's looking really good. Of course, we did fertilize, which will help that growth. But it's looking good. We really enjoy our hay, and we're still working pretty regular on our reclaimed hay field. We did spray that last week with 2,4-D, and I took a look at it yesterday evening, and the 2,4-D's having a fairly good effect on the common blue violet. The deer tongue, it doesn't appear to, well, I kind of knew that anyway, but it's done nothing to it. There was a little bit of horse nettle here and there and yonder in that reclaimed field, and the 2,4-D's done a pretty good job with it. So thank you for being with us here today on the farm for our farm and hay update for August of 23. We'll be sure to bring you back with us as we time gets closer to cut these fields. We'll be on the tractor and the drum mower laying this nice hay over for baling. So thanks for being with us. Pray that you and your family have a great day. God bless.